Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. I hope you guys have had a good week so far. Hope you came off of a good weekend. I know I did. I was actually on vacation last week/weekend. I haven't been on vacation since December, around that time. Just thought I, could use a couple days off, so me and the family went to Los Angeles, went to opening day, went to go see the Dodgers play the Tigers, Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles. It was my first opening day ever, and first spring, like real spring baseball game. And I gotta tell you this, man. Normally I go in the summer time to baseball games. This time was the spring, and let me tell you this, man. Sitting in those seats in the springtime when it's much cooler, man, it's a night and day difference. It's so much better to watch a baseball game in in the summertime. It's a pretty hot place. It's pretty miserable. Los Angeles in the summertime is not it's cool. There's sunshine. There's a beach nearby. There's things to do. But if you're going to be sitting in a stadium on a summer day, just the sun beating down on you, and your activity is a baseball game where you won't be able to get the full value of your event unless you sit there and watch the game. If you're not doing that, and you're like moving around trying to get to the shade, trying to be out of the sun, then you're not really, you're not really there for what you're supposed to be there for. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, is watching a baseball game. Which is what happened to me last year. I went to a Dodgers game last year when the dead of summer, in July, legit could not sit in our seats because it was that hot. We tried for like 5 minutes, and I was just like, you know what? We cannot do this. This is almost, it's just, we might as well just be, torturing ourselves. Like, it was that bad. So actually being able to sit in the baseball game in our seats and watch the game all the way through, and not having to get up because it's too hot, not having to find shade, not trying to cool off. It was miraculous. It was tremendous. It was like, oh yeah, last year was so bad, and this year was phenomenal. This game that we're at on opening day is just phenomenal. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. If only the summer games were this nice of weather, but they're not, sadly. And this game, it being a spring game was it was good. It was very good. It did get a little chilly at night, which, you know what? I ain't going to complain. I brought a sweatshirt just in case it, was, too chilly. It was fine. But I'm not going to complain. Like, I know how bad summertime games can be. I know how annoying they can be. I know how painful they can be. If you go to a game in broad daylight, the sun beating down on you, it's not fun for anybody who's there. So I wasn't going to take it for granted. I was like, you know what? We're here, springtime. The weather is nice. Yeah, it's a little chilly, but, I'm not going to complain. It was tremendous. And the Dodgers had a bunch of festivities going on, ceremonies. It was the opening day ceremony, obviously. It was, they had a big ceremony. They had a presentation going on, like, a bunch of pre-taped things honoring the past year, because the past year we won the World Series. They had Ice Cube riding in a lowrider, bringing out the trophy to home plate, so everybody could see the World Series trophy. They had Magic Johnson and a bunch of the other owners of the team raise the World Series pennant. They unveiled the championship plaque in the stadium. It was a phenomenal day. If you were a Dodgers fan like me, There is no better place to be than Dodger Stadium on opening day after you win the World Series. A legit World Series, by the way. A legit season. We were the best team in all of baseball that entire year. It was a given, and we finished the season as world champions. It was tremendous. You couldn't ask for a better ending to last year and a better beginning, for this year than to have a celebration. Um, and introducing all the players, all the coaches, the coaching staff, on opening day, at least, for this year, what they did differently, like that I noticed, was like they introduced like all of the coaches, trainers, dietitian coaches and all that stuff at the before the game even began, the first game. So I never knew that they did that before. That might have just been like an opening day thing, but that was cool to see as well. They introduced all the coaches, all the first base, third base coaches, like I said, trainers and all that. So it was really nice to see all the people who contribute to the team and help the team, get right, in preparation for their games, So that was nice to see. Oh, and by the way, this is also not only my first opening day game, but my first ever, seeing a flyover in person. Like, how they have like flyovers, you see them a lot. Like when you watch the Super Bowl, like they'll have like jets fly over as they're singing the national anthem. Well, we had that as well at Dodger Stadium. The dude was singing the national anthem, belting it out. And all of a sudden, 4 jets just go right over the stadium. And it was incredible. And you guys know me. I'm a big fan of combat aviation. I'm a big fan of military aviation, jets and all that. I love that shit so much. And the jets flew over so low. It was so loud, but it was beautiful. It was a beautiful, beautiful sound that those jets made. It was tremendous. And I gotta tell you, man, I have never felt so patriotic in my entire life than that very moment right there. When those jets flew over the stadium while this guy was singing the national anthem, I had never felt more patriotic and more safer in my entire life. I mean, it is truly an experience to behold when there is a flyover. It is thunderous, it is booming, it is loud, it is, great to see. Not many people get to see a flyover in person, with 4 jets just in formation, just going over the stadium. And they were so low too. I mean, they could have been lower, honestly. They probably could have flown a little bit lower, but nonetheless, it was just badass. I had never felt more safer in my entire life, as I said earlier. Like, I mean, we got air support and we got air superiority, and we own the skies at that moment. I'm like, there ain't no one trying to touch us right now. Like, there was just no way. It was just like, I know, it was just like a thought in my head, like, oh man, we good right now. Like, we good. We got birds in the air. We got air support. We're fantastic. We're in good shape. But it was tremendous. I mean, like, we also got the win. We beat the Tigers. We ended up sweeping the Tigers for the series, which was the second series, because our first actual, opening day games were in Japan, like I had mentioned before on a previous episode, that we had played the Cubs in Japan, and those counted as regular season games in a regular season series, which we also won that as well. So technically it wasn't really an opening day because it wasn't our first game. But, nonetheless, MLB's going to do what MLB's going to do. If they want to make these international games part of the regular season that are clearly still in, in actual, like, preseason, a time frame, then by all means, I mean, what have you, do whatever you got to do. But, like, it wasn't like truly opening day. The opening day for the season was actually in Tokyo for the Tokyo series. We kind of got like a soft, like, opening day, even though, like, we treat it as opening day, where both teams are at 0-0. We were at 2-0 at that point already. But it was great, though, fun time. I didn't just go to the Dodgers game, though. We went to the Warner Brothers Universal Studios tour in Burbank. Never been on that before. I'll tell you this much. It is about $73 for the general tour. In that for that studio. And I'll be honest, I've never been on it before, but I heard the prices and I'm like, you know what? I'm down for it, but that is kind of a steep price for a tour. But let's see what's included. And I will say, when I went on this tour, you could only compare it to the Universal Studios tour that happens in the theme park at Universal Studios, which is no additional price, from buying a ticket. Once you buy a ticket, you can do the tour, And I will say this, that the Warner Brothers tour in their studios, I thought was actually better than the Universal tour. One, because obviously the Universal tour I've been to many, many, many times, and I've been to Universal Studios, and it doesn't really change. It's just the same tour every time. But there are different tours that you can take at the Warner Brothers lot. Now, we did the general one, so we got like a lot of like basic stuff, but there's all different types of tours that you can do. Like there was what was it? There was a TCM tour. There's like a gold tour. We got the standard tour, which was good, but also like the amount of detail I think that the host or the guide that they tell you about the different like lots and sets and production and all that is much more in depth, I think, than the one at the Universal Studios, at least in my opinion. We actually got to like leave the what is it? What do they call it? The tram? No, not the tram. What is it? I don't know. Whatever they tour you in, the cart. I don't know what it's called, but when you go around the studio, we get to actually get off that, go into a studio, get shown around, different parts of the studio. Obviously we get to go inside and see some things, and a lot of it's outside as well. But it was just for the most part, I thought better than the Universal Studios tour, which I also really like. But let's be honest, that one, in my opinion, hasn't changed enough. Now, of course, I've only been on the general Warner Brothers one time, so it's a bit of a recency bias. But I will say that it is just a little bit more in depth of the studio, a bit more insight on the sets, which I appreciate. I think that's something that's well welcomed when you're on a tour. The guide was really cool. He's a good guy. He was very insightful, very informational. Got to go into the actual like sound stages, see how things were like, brought to life. We got to see the inside of the Jennifer Hudson studio where that's, filmed that, throughout the week. And, actually it was cool because I go to the gym frequently, and I've gone to the gym in the middle of the day before, midday TV. They got the Jennifer Hudson show, the Kelly Clarkson show, all those, midday daytime television type shows, right? And I've seen the Jennifer Hudson show a lot at the gym. And then when the guide said that we were going to go into the Jennifer Hudson studio, I'm like, yo, I've actually seen, not really paying a whole lot of attention to, but I know what that show is and I know what it looks like. So when I went into the studio, the soundstage, I'm like, holy shit, this is exactly what it looks like, just not as lit up. And I gotta say, the production value of the show when you're watching on TV is so well done, because when there's no lighting, when it's dim, when it's dark, when there's no audience, when everything is just kind of laying there, not even, being set up, not being lit up or whatever, it looks like terrible. But it shows you just, how much how important lighting is for these shows, and for these daytime talk shows, how to make the set pop, and the stage come alive in a way. Now I'm not really a huge fan of Jennifer Hudson's show, but if I was, they gave me an option, not just me, but everybody that was on the tour, how you can be a part of those shows. It's like this website that you go to. I don't even remember the name of it or whatever, but you can just pretty much submit your information, and you'll get a call back to be part of the live audience of that show. It's pretty cool. If you really enjoy Jennifer Hudson that much, like you're obsessed with Jennifer Hudson, there is a way for you to get on that show without really being on the show, but you'll be in the studio audience. And the guy was saying, yeah, they feed you. They'll make sure you have water and all that. I'm like, if I lived in Los Angeles, and I had time, to just fuck around and not really do too much, I don't see why I wouldn't want to be on one of those shows at least one time. Maybe just one time, just to see how it's done, just to see how the show is actually made. Is it truly they hold up cards, to the audience when they want you to laugh or, clap or applause or, be silent and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure that all is a part of it. I would assume there's just no way that, that part of the show is not scripted, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not too sure, but it was cool to see how that was all, how that all plays, is brought together. I mean, you just look up at the ceiling of those, the sound stage, and how many lights there are that have to light everything up, and it's all queued up and it's all planned out, mapped out, and it's just dang. I mean, the amount of work that actually goes into this is wild. And just seeing they have these little houses that are on the studio lot, actual functioning houses where writers and directors can sit out there, write, produce, storyboard, have meetings. It's just damn, this looks like a freaking I would love to have this job. I would love for my job to be to go into a nice looking house that isn't really a house, and I can just sit there and write my story. There was a house on the studio that was reserved for Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling, you know who that is? She used to play Kelly Kapoor on The Office. She's now a big time Hollywood writer for sitcoms and TV shows. And she, gets her own pretty much house essentially for her to, sit in and write and think and brainstorm and create. It's damn, that's pretty badass, No. And it was the house was straight up just reserved for Mindy Kaling. I was just damn. I mean, that's where you made it big. If you can go to work, and at work they provide you with a house to write and create ideas and to make a show, write a show, have meetings about the show, all that stuff. They give you a house for that on the studio lot in sunny Burbank, California. I mean, you made it at that point, Didn't just do that. Didn't just go to the Dodgers game. We also played some Top Golf. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you have probably heard Top Golf. I realize that this podcast and this show is more of a local, audience. So bear with me on my description of Top Golf. Top Golf is essentially a driving range, a multi-layered driving range where you don't necessarily play to see how far you can hit the ball or see how accurately you can approach a green. It's basically just driving a ball into certain areas of a a big like plot of, ground that like has like, golf, golf ball, golf holes, I guess you could say. Just a big plot of land that just has a bunch of holes and targets surrounding them. And, the further you hit it, the more, in the target, in the center of the target, you get your ball, you score more points. And, that's just how you score. Bring like a group of people to compete. Whoever hits more balls further, more accurately in the center of the targets, wins the game. It's almost like the recreational driving a golf ball. What I mean by driving a golf ball, like, when they play golf, the first, they tee off their ball, they use the big club and they just basically hit it as far as you can. That's what you're doing with Topgolf. You're just hitting it far and into the target as accurately as possible to score the most amount of points. There's further targets, there's closer targets, there's bigger targets and smaller targets. All I got to say is maybe look it up on YouTube and just see for yourself. Topgolf, but I will say it is tremendously fun. If you're like me, who has not ever been a golf guy, I don't play golf. I've never golfed. I've never driven a golf ball my entire life up until Topgolf. I will say, like, I actually want to buy golf clubs and go to a driving range and just hit balls. Like that, Topgolf was so much fun. Like, I just want to keep on doing that. I just want to keep driving golf balls. Like, it was just so much fun. I can't explain it to you. It's just like, it's almost like taking batting practice or hitting a baseball. It's just like that. You hit the ball, you see it whiz into the sky and go further and further, the better you get at, more accurately, your swing improves. Because I had never really driven a golf ball my entire life. I mean, I've seen it hundreds of times on TV, from Tiger Woods to Rory McIlroy, like how they, drive a golf ball. I've seen the motion, I've kind of replicated it a couple times on the Wii, but I've never actually done it in real life, with an actual golf ball and a club. So, I was trying it out, and I started out pretty rocky. I will say I was not very good at the beginning. I think the first 2 games I did poorly on it. But as I got, as we went along, I was starting to improve, and I noticed that the ball that I was, whacking was starting to carry further and further. And you can see the ball, once you hit it, you can see it just fly through the air. And once you see that, I mean, shit, you're like, man, that was cool. That went far. And you're like, you want it, you improve and you get better, and then you get a little bit quicker at it. You get a little bit more snap. You're listening for like the ping of like the ball being hit by the driver and how far it goes. And you're like, ooh, that one felt good, or that one didn't feel as good. Maybe I should, tighten up my grip, or maybe just loosen up a little bit. But like, it was just fun to do. I can see why people like golfing, because that shit was just fun. It was almost like when you first like bowl, when you go to a bowling alley and you kind of get in a groove and you get like a strike or two, like hitting a golf ball like nice and crispy, where you can like hear it from the driver, like, ooh, you got some good contact, or you made some solid contact on the ball, and then seeing it just fly through the air further and further, the better you get. Ooh, I mean, it's just like an urge, like you want to just improve and get better. And that's what I was kind of like feeling when I was playing Topgolf. Is like, damn, I mean, I could just probably stand out here and just hit golf balls all day. Like, this is just so much fun. I don't know what it is. I understand it, but I get it now. I get the appeal of golf. I might actually just buy some clubs and just go to the range, because that was just so much fun. But yeah, that was cool. If they had made one, it put one here, in Central California, in the Valley. I mean, I'll tell you this much. I mean, it would make a lot of money. I mean, I could see that like getting like more popular than bowling alleys, than mini golf courses. I mean, I could see Top Golf becoming like a huge thing here, where like people would be flocking to that. People would want to go at you because you can either play in the day, night. It's like it's not really like that hard to light up the course, because when we were playing, we played like the evening, and as it was like entering nighttime, they lit up the course, and I'm like, oh, you can play this into the very darkness of night. Like, I mean, this is incredible. And then as we were going, like, it got more and more full of people. I'm like, yeah, this would be freaking great in the Valley, man. Like, I would love this 100%. But yeah, that the LA trip was tremendous. It was a lot of fun. And I gotta like think like to my family, like, I mean, like, if we're gonna be going to Los Angeles and be chilling out, I feel like the Top Golf is probably going to be like the one thing that we're going to be revisiting, because it is just that much fun. Like, my brothers liked it, my sister liked it, my dad liked it. It was just like, and my dad had done it before, and I'm like, that'd be cool, let's do it. And then I was just like, yeah, I totally get like how this is like, golf is just like kind of addictive. Now I understand like why so many people enjoy golfing this much. I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, moving on. It has been announced by Nintendo that The Legend of Zelda will, the franchise, right? Zelda, Link, Ganondorf. If you're a normie like me who got into, their first exposure to anybody from The Legend of Zelda was Super Smash Bros. Back in the N64 days, and then you were talking to your friend about the character Link. You're like, Link, oh, from The Legend of Zelda. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, The Legend of Zelda, isn't that the game, about this guy? But his name is Link. Why are they calling it The Legend of Zelda? Where it's like, no, it's about the Princess Zelda. And you're like, do you play as Zelda? I'm like, no, you play as Link. What the fuck? I mean, like, kind of like an obscure title of a game, right? That is about, you play as the dude, but the title character you barely even see in the game. You know what I'm saying? Kind of a weird way to, title a game The Legend of Zelda, where you barely even play as Zelda. I don't even think you do play as Zelda in the first games. Anywho, like, if you don't know what Legend of Zelda is, what it's about the Princess Zelda. And then the guy that you play as in the games is Zelda's simp named Link, who's trying to save her or save the world or whatever. But The Legend of Zelda, nonetheless, is being adapted. Not into another game, not to a spin-off game, whatever you might call it. It's being adapted into a movie that's said to be coming out in 2026. And there's no real information on this, but that it's been announced and that the release date is in March of 2026. And, there's a lot of people speculating on what this could be about, what it might be based off of, if it's going to be based off a game, which game would it be. Now, I actually have been somewhat enlightened when it comes to the Legend of Zelda IP. Like I said, my first exposure to the Legend of Zelda anything was in, Super Smash Brothers on the Nintendo 64. But since then, I've grown up and I have played other Zelda games. Like everyone says, the Ocarina of Time is a good game, so I played it, and I can confirm it is a good game. Again, you don't even really see Zelda in the game at all. You're mainly just seeing Link. You're like, why is this not just called The Legend of Link? Like, he's like the main guy. I mean, like, I understand that Zelda is the heroine of the franchise, but like, I mean, this is mainly about Link. Link is the hero. Link is the guy to save the land from which he lives, to save Zelda. Why is this not called The Legend of Link? It makes no sense to me. But anywho, that's going to be a movie. And, I've been talking to my friends about it. They've been chatting online, like, who could play Zelda? I've heard people say wanting Tom Holland, people wanting Timothy Chalamet. I don't really care, honestly. They can get, like, some nobody and make them a somebody and cast him as Link. My only problem I have with this is that it's going to be live action and not cartoon. The reason why I have a problem with that is because, like, now you're kind of limiting yourself on the zaniness and, like, the wackiness that you're able to, put on screen, I think, because The Legend of Zelda is a video game and it's all animated to look like animation and cartoony. Like, that's like part of its charm. I feel like when you go straight to live action, you obviously, you open yourself to an audience that is, going to expect your fantasy video game to be fantasy like and have, like, fantasy tropes and fantasy things in it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Nintendo wants to expand upon the Legend of Zelda lore and give it, like, different, like, characters, like a king here or a queen there, or a lord here, or in, like, like some kind of, like, military commander over there. The Legend of Zelda game, from what I had played, Ocarina of Time, and, like, maybe 4 hours of Breath of the Wild, are all, like, very solo driven games, meaning, like, you're just Link exploring the land and just, like, going on a quest, right? So I'd expect them to, like, kind of stay true to that format of storytelling. Now, obviously, that is a video game where that, format of storytelling is perfect for playing a video game. It's a little bit different when it comes to telling a movie story on the big screen. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that they would take that same route in a movie. They'll probably give Link, like, a buddy or something like that, maybe a friend, maybe a crew, maybe a squad. I'm not too sure, but I do think that, going straight to live action with the Legend of Zelda IP might be a bad move. I'll be honest. I think that making it a cartoon would have been a much better, safer, and a more entertaining way to tell the story of Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, et cetera, et cetera. All who live in Link's world, I mean, that's just me. I could be dead wrong. I might be dead wrong, but I just feel like that The Legend of Zelda kind of leans itself more to be animated and cartoony, to keep that charm. I don't know why they would even, like, go live action in the first place. Like, what made them want to go to live action? I mean, I'm just gonna call it out right now. Like, if Nintendo, like, totally, like, just changes up the entire story, right, to make it fit live action and make it fit a live action audience and a live action storytelling, and, like, change things about it, because, if you don't know, and a lot of people probably don't know, Link, the character, does not actually speak. And there's a lot of people that I know, and a lot of people that are online, that are very, very passionate about this fool not being able to speak. Now, of course, like when you're playing a video game and you're playing as a character, you kind of think that. I mean, like, the way that they had written Link's character, it's like it's played. You're playing through him. You are essentially being Link in the games, right? So it kind of makes sense in a video game format that he doesn't really speak, at all, really. But can they translate that? Are they going to implement that in a live action movie? I can't really imagine that. I really can't, for it to be like a movie with a story and a plot and a main character and other supporting characters. I can't really imagine that actually being the smartest move to make in terms of filmmaking and storytelling that way. But I do think that it'll be interesting. I'm definitely not excited to watch this movie. I'm probably not going to watch this movie, but I am intrigued. I'm intrigued of what they're going to put out, like what kind of ideas that they have, because obviously, they've had to have been cooking something up for a while for them to make the executive decision to make it a live action movie. There had to have been many, many test runs and many ideas and pitches and, brainstorming and, collaborative, creative, discussions of how they're going to go about this. Obviously, it's going to be, Nintendo owns the character, so like they have to green light any ideas that are thrown their way from like studios or writers or whatever, and see what they approve of. And obviously that they have approved of a live action tale and a live action take on it. So maybe they've seen something, maybe they've gotten a pitch from somebody who are like, hey, you know what, I can make this into a movie and it be a live action movie and it be badass and people will like it. I'm curious. I'm intrigued. I'll definitely be on the lookout for it. I'll be like, how could they actually nail this? Can this potentially be good or will it be bad? I'm more of a thinker of like, it'll probably be decent to okay. Maybe not like the best thing you've ever seen. I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of, it's kind of like a, really live action for The Legend of Zelda. A video game that is, clearly like a cartoony video game. And the charm of it is because it is like a cartoony video game with cartoony characters and cartoony villains, and like everything is so like, heavily dependent on the animation style for its charm, and you're going to make it live action. Okay. All right. I guess we'll see how that goes. I mean, hey, they also turned an animated classic into live action back in 2000, The Grinch. The Grinch was a book, was based off a drawing in a book, and then turned into a 20-minute TV cartoon special. And then all of a sudden, Jim Carrey is playing him in real life, with real life Who's, in a real life Whoville. So hey, maybe they're like channeling some like creative juices that they had back in the day. Like, hey, they did this with the Grinch. They made the Grinch an icon, a cinematic icon, where you could probably look at Ron Howard today and he'll probably regret making that movie. Probably. I don't see Ron Howard really being the type of person to be like, hey, I'm the guy who made the Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I'm the one who brought that to life on the big screen. No, he's never been one to, at least in my opinion, or that I've seen, him to champion that movie ever. So, maybe they got some cooking at Nintendo. Maybe they got an idea, a fresh take on Link. On Link. Not Zelda. On Link. Because, hey, I'm still a little pissed off about the way that they title these games. The Legend of Zelda, come on. That is not... It's just a little misleading, don't you think? every Legend of Zelda game, who are you playing as? You're Link. You're never Zelda. Maybe in a couple entries, maybe, but for the most part, the ones that I know of, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, you're Link. What are we doing? The Legend of Zelda. You know what? I would love to meet the creator of The Legend of Zelda and be like, yo, bro, what was the idea of calling it The Legend of Zelda? When you're not playing as Zelda, you're playing as Link. Link is the guy. He's the main dude. I mean, obviously he's probably going to have a different idea. It's like, oh, it was never from the perspective of Link. It was always about saving Zelda. Which again, I've only played one Legend of Zelda game all the way through. Ocarina of Time. Played it all the way through one time. Don't remember it a lot, but I don't remember playing much of Zelda at all. Maybe seeing her at the end, but you don't play as her. I don't know. Some more news on movies. The Avengers Doomsday cast was announced. And my God, man. Let me just tell you this right now. There is a lot of hype for the Avengers Doomsday and the Avengers Secret War movies. And I will be very honest with you. I don't know why there is hype at all for these movies. I have no idea why there is any hype at all about these movies, because I will tell you this. Those movies, the Avengers movies right now, these current ones that are going to be coming out, I believe starting next year, in my opinion, have not earned their hype whatsoever. Have not earned it. I mean, back in 2012 and 2015 and 2017, 2018, 2019, those Avengers movies, they all earned their hype. They all earned their success. They all earned their right to exist, to be Avengers movies. They earned it. These movies, Doomsday and Secret Wars, they're just coming out. Don't know why. They haven't been set up. Nothing is leading to these movies that I can point at. They're just coming out. I have no idea why. I have absolutely no idea why they're coming out. I can't tell you. I have no answer. I just can't tell you. I have no idea. And they don't feel as special. Yeah, I mean, their cast was announced, and I'll get to that soon. But as of right now, the way that these are being put out, in the way that they are, and how they're going to be, coming out in next year and the year after that, I just feel like I don't have any sense of, hype towards them. I don't really have any care for them. I don't think they just haven't earned the right to come out, in my opinion. But, to each his own, right? But let's go through the cast and who's been announced. And this was based off of Marvel's live stream of chairs with, actors' names on the back of them that that tells you who is in the movie. And by the way, this movie is also directed by the Russo brothers. They were brought back as well to save Marvel's ass. Apparently that they can only do is Marvel movies, and Marvel was like, yeah, we need you boys back bad. So we got, so far, cast in the movie: Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Vanessa Kirby as Susan Storm, who hasn't even been in we haven't even seen her in a Marvel movie yet, but I guess that means she survives the Fantastic Four film. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, which is Black Widow's sister. Wyatt Russell as John Walker. Um, Tenoch Huerta, Mejia as Neymar, Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes slash the White Wolf. I guess he's no longer the Winter Soldier. Letitia Wright as Shuri slash Black Panther. Ebon Moss Batrach as Ben Grimm slash the Ting. Kelsey Grammer, Dr. Hank McCoy slash Beast. Okay, so that that means that the X-Men are gonna be in this fucking movie. Don't know how, don't know when they were introduced. Not sure that they've earned it yet, but okay, I guess you're just gonna be there. Okay, whatever. I guess. I mean, Marvel clearly did not know how to set these boys up, and they just seems like they're just going to be shoehorning them into this Avengers movie. Seems like it to me. This already seems like a big clusterfuck of like ideas and storylines that are just going to be bleeding into this big, gigantic Frankenstein of a movie. I'm sorry, but with this many characters, there's no way you can make a good, cohesive story that's going to make any sense or have any value to it. I'm just saying it right now. I mean, Louis Pullman is in this movie as Sentry. Danny Ramirez is Joaquin Torres slash the new Falcon. Joseph Quinn is Johnny Storm. So I guess he survives Fantastic Four as well. David Harbour as Red Guardian. If you've seen the Black Widow movie, I believe that was her brother. I believe. Essentially, he's like the Russian Captain America. Winston Duke as M'Baku is back. Hannah John Kamen as Ghost. Why? Okay. Tom Hiddleston is back as Loki. Why? Okay. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier / Professor X. How? Okay. Ian McKellen as Magneto. Again, like, how are these people gonna make this movie good? I looking at this cast, I'm just like, there's no way you made a good movie out of this. A good, like, standing alone movie? Like, there's no way. Alan Cumming, Nightcrawler, is in this. Rebecca Romijn is Mystique. James Marsden is Cyclops. Channing Tatum is Gambit. That actually was kind of a... I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Gambit was so funny in that movie. I'm actually kind of happy that he's going to be in this new Avengers movie, I'll be honest. But again, I mean, I would have loved to seen a Gambit standalone film. That would have been cool as well. Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. And Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. So yeah, I mean their cast is out. It's a massive cast. I mean, it might be even bigger than the cast from fucking the Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame even. This is a huge fucking cast. Like, I mean, I know the Russo brothers have done it in the past where they have made these giant Avengers movies work with all the characters that they had in it. But I just, all these new characters and brought back characters that have been from, the X-Men films to the, Jesus Christ. I mean, I just don't understand how this is going to work. Again, this just screams Frankenstein movie. I don't understand how this will work, how this is going to play out, if this is going to be even successful. I mean, this is just a Hail Mary attempt at bringing back the fans because they have just been not vibing with Marvel movies, since Deadpool and Wolverine. And that was just last year. And since then, they've had some bad movies. And before that, they had bad movies as well. But I just don't see how this is going to work. I truly don't. I can't tell if this movie is even serious about itself. If this is even going to be considered a movie. Like a watchable movie. It's just This one might be too much. It just might be. Man, it's just that's a lot. That is a lot of people to have in one movie. I know it's the Avengers. I know it's a big Marvel movie, but like that's a lot of people. And you know what I didn't notice, or what I noticed actually, who was not on the cast list for the Avengers? I did not notice what the fuck's his name? Hawkeye, or the chick from the Hawkeye show. She wasn't there. Who else wasn't there? Oh god, there's somebody that's is Wanda, Doctor Strange wasn't there? Is Wanda still alive? The Eternals aren't there. Spider-Man isn't there. Tom Holland isn't on this. Like, where is he? He should be there, right? I mean, he was an OG Avenger. I feel like he should have been in that, but you know, I don't know. I mean, I think they just kind of lost track of who they have right now. I'll be completely honest. But moving on though to some more movie news. CinemaCon is currently going on, and there's been some news coming out of that. If you don't know what CinemaCon is, it's basically just like a Comic-Con just for movies and stuff like that. Which is also what Comic-Con is as well, even though it used to be just mainly comic books, but other things have been, have invaded Comic-Con since then, like movies, TV, and all that. They just kind of like have just kind of, forced their way into Comic-Con, I guess. But CinemaCon has been going on. A couple of news on that. Not a whole lot, but, some things. The new Spider-Man movie now has a title, Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. I don't care for the title at all. I think that title is actually kind of weak. Spider-Man: A Brand New Day? What the fuck is that? Okay? Just find a more, obscure title to essentially call it a brand new movie. Like a new movie, a new Spider-Man movie. Oh, Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. How about that? It sounds too similar to Brave New World for Captain America. A brand new day. Okay. Whatever. I thought that was actually kind of weak. I'm not super excited for that, but hey, maybe it could be all right. I mean, like I said before, and I'll say it again, Tom Holland won me over as Spider-Man in No Way Home. I thought he was tremendous in that. He showed me his acting capability, his acting range, his ability to be vulnerable, and also the hero, likable, cool guy. So he's already won my respect as an actor playing Peter Parker / Spider-Man. But the movie, I think the title of the movie is kind of weak, in my opinion. Quentin Tarantino is writing a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it will not be directed by him. It will be directed by David Fincher and going to Netflix. I've got a big problem with this. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, in theaters when it first came out. I love that movie. And I would have loved it that the sequel, which will be starring Brad Pitt. Not sure about Leo DiCaprio, but Brad Pitt for sure will be back. I'm sad it's not going to be in theaters. It's going to be on Netflix, which I'm okay with Netflix. But hey, give me my theatrical run. Give me a reason to go to the movies. First of all, the fact that Quentin Tarantino is not directing this is just a cop-out for him to, not break his oath where he said he was only going to direct 10 movies. Now, if you know Quentin Tarantino, he's not just a director. He's a writer-director. Majority of his movies like 9 out of 10 of them he's written and directed. I think one of them he did not direct, maybe two, or that he didn't write. He just directed. But for the most part of his movies, he writes and directs. And he's been very clear that he only wants to direct 10 movies. Well, he's at 9 right now. He's at 9. And he's been flirting with the idea of, what's his 10th movie going to be? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? He's already written the script for this sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, this is it. This would be it. But he's copping out. I mean, let's just be honest. He's copping out. He does not want this to be his final movie that he directs, that he clearly wrote, and David Fincher will be directing. So in a way, it's just like, dude, like, first of all, why do you have this rule when you're only going to direct 10 movies? Like, just don't stick to that. Do this, write and direct it, and make another one. But no, because the guy has said that he only wants to direct 10 movies, that now his final movie, air quotes, apparently, is, he's just going to probably delay for a long time and still write and create stories. And yeah, this movie is going to be directed by David Fincher, but we're all going to look at it like it's Quentin Tarantino's movie because he wrote the movie. It came from his mind. David Fincher is just directing the movie, And it's kind of a cop-out, I'll be honest, about that. And, of course, the most anticipated movie of the year for me, Superman, at CinemaCon had like a 5-minute sneak peek, which was not available to the public, except if you go watch Minecraft. That's right. If you go to watch Minecraft this weekend, you will be treated to 5-minute preview of Superman. Now, I don't like Minecraft, so I'm not going to go watch Minecraft. But now they have me thinking like, fuck, should I just go buy a ticket to see the 5 minutes of Superman that I'm just dying to see anything from this movie because I'm such a big Superman fan? Do I do it? Do I just go waste my money and time to go watch a Minecraft movie to only really going to see 5 minutes of Superman? Should I do that? Absolutely not. I won't. But I did think about it. I was thinking they'll show it at CinemaCon. They'll put it online. We'll be able to see it. They put nothing from the Superman panel, the Warner Brothers panel at CinemaCon. They put none of that online. And I was just honestly like, the only bits we see is just interviews, but it's just like, oh man, it's just press. It's like, this is what they gotta say. Yeah, it was fun making the movie. Yeah, it was cool. I like this. I like that. I like this person. I like that person. They're supposed to say that. I don't know. I felt like the CinemaCon, I was just kind of let down. I wanted more Superman information and more Superman stuff, but they're really tight with this movie right now. This is almost like as wrapped up as Star Wars The Force Awakens back in 2015, back when that was coming out. This movie is like pretty much on the same under wraps as that one was. And that one is not a good movie. That one, we have history. If history repeats itself, and it does, we must be very, very careful that we don't get The Force Awakens on us with Superman. I pray to God that's not what happens, but Jesus, only time will tell. And then lastly, this isn't about CinemaCon, it's about more gaming news. The Switch 2 was broken down in-depthly. It's a bigger, stronger, faster, smarter Switch. It's got, a bigger screen, bigger joysticks, clickier and bigger buttons, more pixels, better resolution, better display. Faster, obviously, 4K availability on your TV. It's a true upgrade. Going to be launching with Mario Kart World, actually, the ninth installment of the franchise, on June 5th. And I was excited for that. I was actually thinking about maybe I should get a Switch 2. Why not? And then I saw the price of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo is so mean, so cruel. They are going to be charging us $449.99 for the Switch 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that is only $50 cheaper than an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5. I don't understand how that could be that much money. And the specs aren't even near the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. And the Switch 2 is only $50 cheaper and not even close remotely to the specs of the other consoles. Man, I mean, that just doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good whatsoever. That actually hurts. I'll say it, that hurts. Seeing that price point, I was like, oh, you almost had me. If it was 300, 350, yeah, I think I'm in. 450 though? Oh man, I don't know about that. I don't think I could swing that. I mean, I can swing it comfortably, but like, should I? Is it really that worth it? I mean, they're going to put all their new games on there. They're going to make it so you're going to have to buy it. And I probably will end up buying it, but it's just like, damn, really? It almost diminishes the value of my Xbox Series X and my PlayStation 5. It almost sort of diminishes the value of that. When I look at those consoles, I'm like, these are so much stronger and better, faster, more graphics, more memory. And this is only $50 less than this? Oh. The value of the dollar is just plummeting as we advance in the future, man. It is not a good sign whatsoever. Now, will I be getting the Switch 2? Most likely. Because I'm stupid. And I like Mario games. I really, really do like Mario games. A lot. Mario games have a sweet spot in my heart that I just cannot shake. So I will be getting the Switch 2. I will get it. But mark my words, people, I am not happy about this whatsoever. Nintendo, you evil son of a bitch. You evil company. You got me again. You got me again. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.